Okay, let's take a closer look at Russia's economy. I want to bring in Arthur Dong. Arthur, always good to see you. He's, of course, a teaching professor at Georgetown University's McDonough School of Business. Lot to cover. Let's get right to it. Now, when it comes to Russia's debt, the Kremlin seems to be navigating this high wire act, if you will, at least for the time being. So far, no defaults on their massive outstanding debt, despite predictions by experts. How has Putin been managing this so far?
Well, they've been dipping into their reserves. And by the way, Sean, it's always good to be on the show with you. They've been dipping into their reserves to satisfy these debt payments to outside bodies and banks. But it'll become increasingly difficult as we move further down the road, as $630 billion of Russian foreign currency assets are being held and are locked up in foreign central banks. So as conditions start to unfold, in the immediate term, Russia seems to have been able to satisfy some initial debt payments, but we've got billions more coming due, as Jamie Dimon has indicated, over the course of the next 12 months. And so where those funds are going to come from, it's going to be increasingly difficult for the Russians to tap into those funds in order to make these payments.
Yeah, we have a little breaking news for you as well. It's our understanding that from reports that President Zelensky is going to address the UN Security Council early Tuesday morning, and that's of course critical because he could of course ask for more sanctions, more private companies to take their business out of Russia. What kind of damaging statements do you think that is going to have? It is so emotional right now.
It's going to exactly gravitate, the world's companies and governments around the world to label Russia a pariah state. And although many Western companies, American companies, Japanese companies, and the like have already pulled out of the Russian marketplace, there are still many more companies that can also do the same. So this is one of many sort of instruments and policy tools that the West still has at its disposal, which can further damage the Russian economy.
Let's talk about where Putin turns now, because the sanctions are clearly devastating. And as you mentioned, it could cause a further tailspin that could push Putin into a corner. Any concern that he could lash out? And of course, with Russia, with its relationship with China, a lot of people are waiting to see, will China put a toe in that water? So far, they have offered humanitarian aid, of course, to the Ukraine and stayed out of it.
I mean, it's an interesting point, and many sort of observers here in the United States are watching Putin very carefully. And given his unpredictability, there's no sort of confidence whether or not he may lash out in some unpredictable way. What we have been also keeping an eye on is China's moves as to whether or not China is going to backstop Russia. And these are things that are being very, very carefully considered. And I would say, as of this point, Beijing has not, pledged its full backing of Russia, being aware of the kinds of sanctions that can be imposed on China as a consequence of doing so.
And we also know that Moscow is demanding its energy payments by countries deemed unfriendly in rubles, and virtually every nation has said no. So what happens if there is a collapse between Russia and these various nations on payments to oil and gas?
Well, Russia has been trying to do this for decades now, trying to reset the global order in terms of having payments, certainly for energy, steered away from a dollar-denominated system. And so when he advised Western Europe that they should be paying for Russian oil in rubles, not a single one of them agreed. And so therefore, he's stuck with having to accept dollars at this point, and he'll certainly need all the dollars he can get his hands on as of now.
Arthur, we're kind of tight on time, but for everyday Russians, it's very tough, and one can presume things are going to get worse. What can we see moving forward? How much longer can people in Moscow, other cities, take this, lining up for food, lining up trying to get money out of ATMs? Do you think there's going to be pushback that this was ill-planned and ill-conceived?
Absolutely. The Russian average citizen has seen an immeasurable increase in their quality of life and material well-being since the Soviet Union was dissolved on December 25th, 1991. From that point forward, the burgeoning Russian middle class and sort of the quality of life of the average citizen has gone up immeasurably. Now all of that is in peril, and Russia and Russian citizens could be set back another 30 years.
Amazing. Arthur, again, we thank you for your time. Arthur Dong, teaching professor at Georgetown University's McDonough School of Business.